In these videos, I use shortcut keys to make modeling more efficient. Shortcut keys are set up under Shortcuts, under System Preferences. To assign a key, start typing in the menu designation in the filter box, for instance, Hide. Select Edit Hide, type in the letter you want. This particular faucet was an STL file imported into SketchUp, brings in lots of small polygons, lots of detail, comes in as a group. So the first thing we want to do is identify cardinal points for working with the model. So we'll double click to get in to the geometry. Select just the bottom of the faucet, handle, M for move. We're going to make a copy. So I'm going to do a measured distance, so I'll do 5. That's an easy number to remember. So I'm 5 inches over, or out, and there's the center of our faucet. So I'm going to draw a line from that end point up in the blue, make a group of all the stuff, triple click, but remove the vertical line, make a group, G. And now I can draw my own circle, C. Right now it's 24 sides. Let's do 12 sides. I'm going to draw it from that endpoint. Go in the red. Zoom in and make sure I'm on the geometry. Click. Now I'll select the circle. Cut it. Control or Command X. Get outside of our group or component and Shift P or Edit, paste in place, brings it back out to the upper level of the model. Now we're going to move that M. Going to move it 5 inches. So we'll show it the red and type 5. Zoom in, and it's now placed exactly against our CAD geometry. P to push pull. We're going to push pull this up. We're just going to visually see when it gets about as tall as we want. I'm locking to the CAD endpoint. Click to place it. That surface, select it. So spacebar, select it. And then S, or Scale tool. You get those grips. If I click on a diagonal grip, I can scale it. But if I hold down Option or Control on the PC, Option on the Mac, hold down Option, I'm just visually moving it in till it matches the CAD geometry. Then P to push pull it up. Continue the same process. We'll pull it up again. Often it helps to have X-ray mode on so you can snap to the points in the CAD. So I've done it. I've assigned it to the letter T, or you can use the X-ray mode button. A hotkey is easier because then T turns it on. You can position yourself where you want, then T to turn it off and you're right where you want it. Click on that CAD point, T to turn it back off. Spacebar, select that, S to scale it again. This is the push-pull scale method. So I'll click on that corner point, hold down Option or Control, and click again. I'm leaving it just slightly outside so that we're approximating the shell. See, the line is inboard of the CAD geometry and outboard of it. So we're kind of doing an average game. P to push pull, and continue doing the same thing. This is the push-pull scale method. You're simply push-pulling a profile, then scaling it. P to push-pull it again. As you get to a more curved area, you just simply make your push-pulls shorter between each other, between iterations. Scale it inwards to that circle, and then P to push-pull it upwards. Go the final amount, scale, and then P to push-pull that downwards. We'll lock to there. Now at this point, it'd be good to form some layers so we can start examining our geometry separate from the CAD. So I'm going to create a new layer. Oh, I guess it imported it on the faucet layer already. So I can turn off the faucet layer and have my geometry left. So the last step in this whole thing, let me show you. Shift H, the hidden geometry, is triple click on it, then right click, and we're going to soften smooth edges. We're going to soften smooth normals, and we're going to soften coplanar. We can adjust it to wherever we want. We'll just leave it about there. Usually 20, yeah, let's do 30. 30 degrees is fine. And now we've got that. We can now start working that bottom and work it downwards. We'll select it. We're going to offset that inwards. We're going to turn on the faucet layer so we can see how far inwards we're going to go. We're going to use the CAD geometry to click it. P to push-pull downwards. Touch down here. Now notice, no, that's pretty good. We've got some of the CAD showing through, so that's good. And then we'll just start the process flaring outwards. Turn off the faucet. We'll offset O. We'll offset this circle outward. Turn on the faucet so we can see it. Orbit. So we're going to come out to here. And that is a flat surface. And then we're going to start going off to the side. Push, pull down. Turn the faucet back on. Here's where it gets a little tricky because you can't see, so you just use the CAD on the outside. So I'm going to snap about halfway down. We're going to push-pull even with that. Turn the faucet off. Select this. I'm going to erase that and then select the surface. Scale by the center. Scale it outwards till we see it appear. See where it's appearing. Then we're going to match the CAD with that. And P to push-pull again. Oops. We've got to orbit from underneath to grab it for push-pull now. Push-pull down to here. Turn the faucet back off. Select the surface. Turn faucet back on. S to scale it by the center. Pull it outward till we see it. Let's try that again. Yeah, that's a little bit more. Okay. And then P to push-pull. Now notice they've played some with the geometry, so we'll deal with that in a minute, because that should be back against here. And at the front, it's at the face of the faucet, of the handle. P to push-pull. We're going to push-pull it down to there. And then turn off the faucet. Tap Control or Option to leave the original and copy a push-pull down. And we'll go all the way down to here. Turn the faucet back off. Select the surface. Scale S. We're going to scale that outward by the center. And there's the flare of our base. So now we want to correct the back side and have it match the CAD better. Select that smooth surface Actually, we'll select all 3 of them, and we want to move them back, or scale, S. And this time we're going to go from a side grip, and instead of doing it by the center, we're just going to move it till we see it start to match. I'm going to zoom out. Till we see it start to match the CAD. So let's try it again. Click on it, gives us a little better definition, and click when we're matching the CAD. So we've brought that in and it's smushed that into kind of an oval shape. Now this side part got adjusted because of that scale, so we'll go to the side grip, and here we will go about the center. Click, push pull that inwards. There we go. So we've now matched our CAD. The last thing is this sloping area at the bottom. This gets a little harder to do because you actually need to move these things upwards, but we'll leave that for later. So now there's our faucet handle base. And if we want all this to be smooth, we can individually select them, and then we're going to soften them and smooth them. Turn off transparency, and so now there's our handle base. Matches our CAD version, but with far fewer polygons. Now we want to make the backside match up to the surface. Let's see here. So we're going to move these vertexes up, but if we hit move, it's an entire circle, and that's not going to help us. If we right click and select explode curve, now we can select an individual vertex and move it. So I'm going to explode these lower curves so we can now move them up. I don't need to explode that one, it doesn't look like, because it'll be fine. We've exploded the 2 lower curves. Now we'll just select portions. So I'm just selecting edges. And we'll move those up as a group. I'm going to go to a top view and see if... Okay, I'm trying to stay symmetric. My selection, turn on the faucet. Actually, hold down Shift. I'm going to select single edges just above it as well. So now we'll move those all as one set upwards to begin with. So we'll move. I'm going to just hover over this vertical line and hold Shift to lock the inference and click. Now as I move it, I can come off to the side and it'll stay moving in that direction. And I can just visually watch until it's where I want. So I'm going to come up to about there, which is my worst case. Click, and those have been adjusted, and then I can deselect those because those don't need to be moved any longer. So hold Shift and deselect them. And then I'm going to move these down again, just those. So I don't need that one, or that one. And you can see where we're going to move it to. Actually, that point is good, so we'll remove that one as well. So we're going to move these 2 down. So move M. I'm going to go in the blue and hold Shift. And now I can just watch until it hits the CAD model right here. That's where I'm looking. It starts to hit the CAD model, then I click there. And now I'll I'll clear the selection and I'll move just that endpoint. In the blue, tap the up arrow to force it in the blue. And touch onto the CAD surface. And maybe I'll even move this vertex on blue and move it individually. Just kind of watching to see that it's an average. So we've now created how it meets that sloping surface. This one can probably move down a little. So we'll tap the up arrow and we'll have it come down about there. So we're individually just touching edges and moving them. So we're left with a tapering. It doesn't matter what's happening underneath because all we're concerned about is the top surface. And if we don't want these expressed, let's see if they are in the original, probably not, we'll smooth those as well. So I can type E for erase and hold down Control or Option, and the ones I click on get smoothed. So I'm just smoothing them directly by Control and Option with the erase tool. And I can even come underneath and I'm going to just completely erase these lines. So I'm left with a hollow shell. There we go. And this was the leftover push-pull surface. We'll delete that too. And there's our hollow shell with the tapered look. As we continue doing this all around the model, it's kind of a pain to have to keep turning the faucet layer on and off. A trick for doing that is I'm going to triple click, turn off the faucet so you can see it. I'm going to triple click to select all the handle base, right click and make a component of it. We're going to need it as a component later anyway because there's two of them on the faucet. So I can call this handle base. And the origin, we aren't going to worry about that right now. So we'll just make sure replace selection with component is on. We will eventually probably correct the insert point to be the center of that. But since we couldn't see it, because it's out here, let's deal with that now. Double click, select that line, and copy it. Control C or Command C. So it's been copied to the clipboard. Now we'll double click on our component. We're going to turn off the rest of the model, which is under View, Component Edit, Hide Rest of Model. I've assigned that to Shift C so that I can toggle it on and off very quickly. So I'll toggle it off and then Shift P for paste in place and put that line back inside this context. Move that 5 inches in the red. There's our center point. So now we can establish a new origin point. Right click, change the axis for our component, orbit underneath, find the endpoint of that line, click there, and we're just going to keep the same red and green directions as the model has now. So now it's deep within there, but that's kind of where the faucet started from. Click outside. Now as we're editing, we can be editing this, Shift H to see the geometry. So if I wanted to move this vertex, I can start moving it and then just type Shift C to see the rest of the model relative to it. Shift C again to get away. If I do the up arrow, show the rest of the model, up arrow in the blue, and now I can see exactly where I'm going relative to the CAD. And then Shift C to grab the next one. Same deal. Up arrow, Shift C, I can line up to the CAD. So what I can do is go around that base, clean up this area. Shift C, grab this point, go up in the blue, hold Shift. I like it because I can be holding Shift and I don't have to let go of Shift to type C. It doesn't let go of my inference lock. Shift C, click to place it. So I'm just toggling Shift C on and off as I work my way around. I'm working between, let's see, Shift C, one more. On the blue, Shift C, touch the CAD. So there's our fully tapered base to this handle. Turn off hidden geometry, and there's our handle base. So far, so good.